For a research project concerning African languages. The Masakhane Natural Language Processing Research Project is the joint winner of the inaugural 2021 Wikimedia Foundation Research Award of the Year. Now, one of the things the research looked at was machine translation for African languages and the challenges around this. Well, the leader of the team is Vukosi Marivate. He's the APSA Chair of Data Science at the University of Pretoria. Let's find out what it's all about. And Vukosi, first of all, congratulations and good morning. And I think what a wonderful thing when it comes to our African languages and seeing progress. So tell us about the Masakhane Natural Language Processing. What is it? How does it actually work?
Good morning, and thank you for having me. Masakhane is a joint distributed research project which is made up of investigators across the whole African continent. It started off as a way to really tackle how do we work on natural language processing tools for African languages by actually being distributed instead of only having people at universities or people in organizations. So it's voluntary. I am just one of the chief investigators. I am not the only leader. There's many of us. One of the chief investigators. I'm the chair of data science at the University of Pretoria. And we've been working for 2 years now on looking at different language tasks. So one being translation is one that people might be very used to online, where you try to translate from one language to another. What we worked on is ways to actually train new AI models on specifically on doing translation from English to African language to English, and then work to making that available. So the award in itself was a recognition from Wikimedia, who are the parent organization to Wikipedia, on really how we're trying to make the internet more accessible, because by being able to build better translation tools, then you can translate a lot of content into more local languages, and then as such, information becomes more accessible.
So would this be both the audio and visual, Vukosi, and what does it actually mean for promoting African languages, especially in that digital space?
The specific translation tools we have currently have to do with text. There is, so this one was called Masakhane NMT or translation. And there are other projects now that have kicked off. There is now one on speech, so you can do speech to text and text to speech. And then after that, you can obviously do the translation. So I actually have some students who work in our group who've been looking at these text to speech or speech to text problems. And there are things like entity recognizers, so you can identify that in a sentence that there might be a person, there might be a company that's being mentioned. And all of these tools are currently being researched and developed and will also be made available soon. So I think the speech tool is probably a couple of months away from also being available. So you can go to translate.masakhane.io at the moment and actually try out some of the translation tools that we have.
So how many of the African languages have you actually managed to be able to tackle with this? Or is it all of them?
No, it is not all of them. At the moment, I think we have over 50 languages and models that have been evaluated. On the website, if you do go there, I think at the moment we have 7 that are live, meaning you can actually play around with them. There will be more in the coming weeks and months that will be added. You can also go on and give feedback. So you can run a translation, see how well the translation is, and give us then feedback to say, oh, I'm like whatever, a native speaker, here's what I saw the translation, and this is what it was supposed to be. What this allows us is to collect data that assists us in evaluating how well the models that the researchers have built currently are, and then working to improve them, right? So this is the age of artificial intelligence or machine learning, and you have to give machines data in order to train them. So it does not come from the ether.
Of course, well, you always need people behind there, don't we? Well, I tell you that this couldn't have come at a better time, Vukosi, because, I mean, we've heard, so much criticism of certain systems. Say, for example, registering for your COVID-19 vaccine, for your jabs as well, people, not being able to understand or needing it in different languages as well, other apps that are out there as well, especially for our older folk, who still speak African languages. That is the language that they speak at home. So that would certainly come in very handy there. But where else would we be able to use this? Is it something we'll be able to use in our schools? Because we find a lot of kids battling to learn in English, and they would benefit from learning in their own languages. What is your vision for this?
Yeah, the systems as they are currently are obviously still at the research level, meaning we're collecting feedback, noting where we're having challenges, and then trying to improve them. But we foresee them as being assistive. On one part, just like you're talking about making a lot of information accessible to people in terms of apps, maybe translating them and making them available in all languages. But you can think about either information that comes out for our civic duty from government. An example I gave was just the transcripts that come from Parliament, typically only translated into English. And how then, how do you reduce the cost of translation? You can reduce the cost by first having a machine try to do the initial pass-through, to do the first translation, and then getting a human translator to then read it and then make correct errors so that it actually works out better. You can think about the same thing in books. How do we make books more accessible? How do we make children's books more available in South Africa in all languages? These types of tools, ultimately, that's where we're hoping they get to. When you do get ready to be what we call production level, we do then hope that they are available to people then to be able to try out for themselves. Oh, I heard this, it was written in this language, I would like to have it in my language, and you be able to get that translation, right? And yes, at the moment I'm using South Africa examples, but you can think about these as being kind of examples across the continent.
Excellent. Thanks very much, Dr. Vukosi Marivate. Well done to you and your team as well. Can't wait to see how this actually works. Well, let's take